Okay, you're good.
Real good. Well, welcome everyone to this aspect of our event. We meet here every Thursday night, as Carol said, and love story time. I can't say it enough, is how much I enjoy that part of our business. And that is, of course, foundational to what we do. We all, I think, identify with what we hear. I mean, if I think about the stories I've heard tonight, I think everybody in one form or another shared that even though the product has been amazing for them and the business has been something that's really made a difference in their lives, and they love the aspect of it all, that what they're really saying too is they like the emotional revenue. I think I heard that from everyone, the connection to people. The fact that, especially at this time, being able to have a venue where you can reach out to others and kind of virtually wrap your arms around them, which I think everybody needs right now. So tonight we're going to continue talking about our business. And there is a dog in my background right now, which I really am sorry. It's like an enormous puppy that is like the size of the house, but it's still a puppy, so it's a little hard to control. But at any rate, hopefully somebody will do that back there in the background. But our goal in this segment of this event every Thursday night is to really do foundational skills to educate you as far as your business and your day-to-day operations. You know, our business is one that it's exciting, but at the same time, there's really not exactly a playbook for this anywhere, you might say. When you grow up, go through school, no one really teaches you exactly how to be an entrepreneur. Companies of this type, and we have a wonderful company because they're much more connected to their field and listen to their field than most companies do. But for the most part, it's, a company in this profession provides a product, and we're very blessed with one of the best products, I think, if not the best in the world for people. And they provide a marketing model for people to engage in. But they're basically, then it's up to the field to create the distribution of that product. And so really, if you think about yourself, you are the president of your own company. You're an independent contractor. You are in business absolutely for yourself, but not by yourself. You don't work for the Juice Plus company, you work from them. And I love that aspect of it, that I am in control of my day. Now I have to discipline that activity so that I get a return. But you heard tonight, in both areas of product and in business, that it can be at whatever pace that you choose. And also, one of the things you heard about the product tonight that I wanted to reiterate was that it's going to kind of, so I believe it was Kim that said, it's going to show up differently for everyone. And that's true. And what that means is that whatever your body is needing, that's what the product is going to service. Because again, it is food. And if you can get the best food, then your body is going to be able to perform at the highest level. And I truly mean that, let me start that sentence over again. I truly think that we were meant to be healing machines, and that it's just a matter of the right fuel. And Juice Plus really does provide that right fuel. So it's been very exciting for me in the 33 years I have been with the Juice Plus company, just to watch all the wonderful results that people have, and that those results are compounded over time. But it's also been wonderful to watch the success that people have. And you heard it from everyone tonight. I didn't plan to do this. I never planned to be here. Here I am. Okay. And I'm the same way. I mean, this was going to be a part-time thing for me. And I went to school about 600 years to get the job to teach in a university. And even though they didn't pay me much, it was, a long study, you might say. So I really didn't expect this either to be my career. But what have been the things that have created, I guess you say, as you go along, where does the confidence come from, or a feeling of security where you say, okay, now I've got this, I've got it. And no matter where I am, as long as they can speak my language, I know that I can do fine. And for me, that came, of course, certainly from the realization that the product is very simply powerful. I think that would be a great way to describe it. It's a very simple concept. We all know about food being very important for our bodies. Everyone is educated to the fact that fruits, vegetables, berries, omegas are vital for good nutrition and good health. And people today, because of the situation we're in, are more awake to that need than ever before. But something that I was very aggressive about in the early years of my business was learning the compensation plan. And that really is where, when I at first, and I'll say this too from the beginning, is I thought that someone was trying to ask me to read the Greek newspaper, okay, that to speak a foreign language, because it was so different than my traditional concept of business, which was a salaried position of some type. And so that seemed foreign, but when I really realized after going over it and over, listening to it over and over, you know, calling my sponsor or the company for every question I had until I had it down pat, that probably brought me, you know, I guess the best foundation for confidence of anything, because I felt like I could sit and tell someone about my business and how it worked. And in being able to do that, there comes a great deal of security. So our focus in these Thursday evenings is really to look at how do we create that foundation of information within the compensation plan so that you can not only know it yourself, but then turn around and help someone else begin to learn it. The other thing is that you're going to be learning while you're doing. This was a little daunting to me at first, too, because I, you know, we traditionally would go to school, they teach us a trade, we go out, we've practiced it like student teaching when I was getting ready to teach, and then we do it. But here you kind of learn it and do it at the same time. So the good news about our pay plan is that they're going to pay you whether you understand it or not, okay, because it's going to be sharing the product story and inviting people to partner with you to share the mission and the business. But once you've really got it down pat, then there's a confidence level that comes along with that that's quite powerful. So I'm going to go back to just that first part of the compensation plan, the first 4 positions. I would like for this to be interactive. I'm going to go through a little of it, but you can stop me for questions from time to time if you like, or at the end of it, I'll try to go through it quickly so that we can come back to questions. Because I think if you can really look at how you get yourself to sales coordinator quickly, if you're not there already, that's our top commission position. And then how you turn around and do that for others efficiently and in a strong duplicating fashion, then, you know, it's just gonna not only be a joy, it's gonna be something that'll become intrinsic. It'll become second nature to you, and it will really fuel your business. So let's go. I'm going to try to work at screen sharing here. I'm getting better at all these things, and see how we do. Okay. So here you should have just the first 4 positions and what it takes on your page on the screen. And we're going to talk again about going to the Comma Club. Now, Comma Club is really, once your check is at $1,000 a month, because this is something statistically, especially over the last few years, we heard $500 a month, and we still do, as far as people it really making a big difference for them. But I've found that the majority of people, when I say, you know, what amount of money would need to show up in your mailbox to really make you smile, or to be enough to make it feel worth your effort, it's going to come in somewhere at around $1,000 or $1,500 a month. That would be huge for the majority of people in this country, and I think for the world for the most part. We do have business in 28 countries, but just looking at where in the pay plan does that show up? Well, it's going to show up as you go into a sales coordinator position, a strong sales coordinator position, and then we'll talk about the 3 or 4 positions above that in a minute, and the QSSC, which is the one right above sales coordinator. So if you know that that's where that amount is going to happen, and that's aside from all title bonuses and any other extra things that are thrown into the pay plan, and those title bonuses are there to help new people, have sufficient income early on, so that, it's not only worth their time, it's very desirable. But we're talking about $1,000 a month in income solid, aside from your title bonuses. In South Louisiana, we used to refer to that as lagniappe, a little something extra. The title bonuses are definitely a little something extra, and they're more like a lot something extra. But here, we want to look at, that sales coordinator, that being the first goal. Set your sights on that, set your new team members' sights on that, and then it's going to put you in that position. And once you're making $1,000 a month, and the beauty of this too is statistically, we can prove this in our earnings summary. It's a company statistics, which is printed. You can find that in your virtual office. But it shows that just when we talk about, it being just a combination of everyone, if you look at our whole company, that statistically the average sales coordinator is going to earn about $1,000 a month. 12,000 something a year is what it shows up on the earnings summary. So that's the validation that this is very, very realistic and something that can be achieved, anyone who puts some consistent effort, not a full-time, doesn't have to be full-time effort, but just consistent effort. So let's talk about sharing with people how we earn and what you want to look at doing here. And again, questions, I'm happy as I go through this for you to make notes, and then we'll come back to them at the end. One of the things I'd like to share with you is from the very beginning, not only expect success, but assume success. This is something that, I think I gathered early from my own sponsor, Jeff Roberti, but your mindset and how you view this is going to have a huge bearing on the outcome. So expect success, assume success, assume that people are going to want your product, assume that they're going to buy it. I've used the tri-pack here as the example because that's basically 85% of our sales. But the Omegas, we haven't had them that long, but they're catching up, okay, because people are loving buying the quad. But we'll talk about this plan in regard to the tri-pack because that's what I've used here, okay? So we all know, and if I were sitting with someone, I'm going to share with them, you can be in business for yourself for $52. That's the only requirement. There are no other requirements, only privileges. So that's $1 a week to actually have your own business, and one that can be, just minimal part-time income, or it can be a huge, business with unlimited income, whatever you choose it to be. But let's look at foundationally what needs to happen. And of course, I like using the tri-pack or the quad. The numbers you can figure out for the quad. I've used them here for the tri-pack. We speak about our product now in full dollars, and we're paid in full dollars instead of points. So this is huge, and it makes it a lot easier for people. So $300 for the tri-pack, and of course, we are billed for this, and the customers bill for this in increments. And so it's installments, it's $75 a month. That's inclusive, everything inclusive, shipping, any fees that go along with it, $75 is it. So if you look at a brand new partner, and the only requirement to be a partner is that $52 contract, now has a sales profit of 10%. So his retail sales profit here in this particular scenario is $30. Now, if you have just joined as a partner, or if you have someone who's just joined as a partner, let's talk about moving from partner to sales coordinator. You want to do that again as quickly as possible for a number of reasons. And again, this goes into the psychology of really a successful foundation. for your business, because people are going to want to know how you started your entire career. I've been here 33 years, and people are interested in how did you start? Not what do you do today, but how did you start, because they're starting. So that starting story is very important. So you would want to encourage that new person, or as I said, yourself, if you're just starting, that you're going to, even if you have to put extra effort in that beginning few months, so that you set the story or set the stage for the future. So sales coordinator would be the first goal, and partner plus and QSC are the first steps to get to that first goal. So we're going to see the difference now between fast track and express track. And these have become terms that they use to, encourage people to move quickly for bonuses, for those extra title bonuses. Again, the reason for moving quickly is to set the foundation for the story, which will follow you your entire career. But it is really, in a sense, you might say your advertisement, okay, as you go, or the commercial for what this can be. And you want to set up always for duplication. People who really grow in massive businesses have either watched and learned, or just they figured it out early on, or it came naturally to them to set up for duplication. So that means you want to be the model that you want others to follow. You want to be the model of what you want other people to do, because that's the only way they're going to learn it. As I said, there's no playbook usually that comes with this. There's great business philosophers like Jim Rohn and Eric Worre. There's great information about this profession, but the day-to-day operations are really, you truly design those with the direction of others that have been successful with it over time. And one of the reasons we even talk about income in our business is our income reflects the success of the development of the organization, as well as reflecting the success of how many people you've helped, because the only thing we're paid on is customers. So the number of people swallowing the product and really, as you hear from these stories, really making a difference in their life is reflected in the income as well. So let's look at, and I want you to hopefully kind of draw this out if you have pen and paper there. Let's just draw these four positions. Many of you who know me know Missy, my assistant. Missy's been with me 32 of the 33 years. She's kind of my handler, I guess you would say. But in the early years and even today, if I were going to meet with anybody, she was handing me a pad of paper. It was usually a legal pad. I don't know why, but I always carried a legal pad around, because I was drawing this out for people over and over and over. Today, of course, we can send this virtually. Somebody can watch it through the entire presentation and have a recording with it. But it's still, when you can sit with someone, even if they've seen that recording, and just draw out for them those four positions. And then, of course, we want them to see the whole thing just for the realization of what's available. But if I'm going through the whole compensation plan, they've got a good overview. We're now going to back down to these four, and we're going to draw these out, and we're going to talk about them, and I'm going to scribble all over that page, okay? I can't, if I knew how to do it on this page, I'd do it for you, but I don't, okay? It's like when I went to Kathy Cavagna's house. I mean, that's what I did. We put a big, poster board up there, and I drew out the pay plan, because it's where it happens. And the other thing I'd like to encourage you in looking at this and learning it and in telling it, these are just going to be numbers on a page, but what they translate into is very specific things that happen to people in their lives. I mean, so you learn this so that you can help someone know how to create the day-to-day operations, but you also learn it so that you can help share with people what it can mean. It meant a college education for both of my children. It meant that we had freedom of choice. It meant that I could be there at times for my family when they needed it, and I could make my choices as to, who I could help, how I could serve, where we could go, as far as, being able to move throughout the world at your, your own decision or your own choice. being able to help people in your family that might have real difficulty financially, things of this nature. My daughter has a child today because we were able to get the kind of help that she needed for fertility to do it. It all happened in this pay plan. And I think that is very important as you hear the stories. You know, don't separate the numbers from the fact that it has a wonderful outcome. So it's really worth learning, is basically what I'm saying. So if I'm going to sit down with somebody, I'm going to probably draw out those 4 lines, and I'm going to learn this well enough so that I can draw all this without, you know, pretty much from memory as it goes. And I'm going to talk about, just the way I started with you, partner, and our goal is to be a sales coordinator as quickly as possible. And I'm going to say this to people, and you might want to write this down. It's been an excellent thing for me, or it's proved to work for me over the years. I'm going to find out, first of all, you know, what is it they really want? Not what they feel they need, but what do they want? What do they really want for themselves and their family? You know, what's the first thing? Okay, so once I found out what they want, then I say, my responsibility is to get you a check. That's my job, is to help you create a business that brings a return. Now, I can't really do that very effectively unless I can get you into a top position, and sales coordinator is the top commission position. So that will be our first goal. And I use those words, our, not your first goal, our first goal, because we're in this together. And all those simple little words are very important as you work with somebody and you team up with them, so to speak. So our goal is sales coordinator. So I'll tell them right from the beginning, most people do that in about 90 days. 3 months, might take 4, but most people do it in 3. Now, what you're doing there is you are creating the framework of what the norm is. I really feel like if I really said to somebody, the norm is 6 weeks, they would take 6 weeks, okay? So what you want to do is create a parameter for what you consider the norm to be. So most people, 3 months, 4 at the most, but sales coordinator is going to be your first goal. Now, our first step, though, is to go to qualifying sales coordinator. At this point, I would have drawn out 4 lines. I would have written partner, partner plus, QSC, sales coordinator. I would have not put these numbers on top of them yet. I would have just shown them the 4. And first goal, sales coordinator, but your first step is we're going right to qualifying sales coordinator. And that's usually somewhere in the first month. Now, it might take a whole month. That's okay, but we're going to do it quickly. And so I have now pre-framed for that person that it's about a month to sales coordinator, a month to qualifying sales coordinator, and 3 months to sales coordinator. So if that is, and if they talk about, what shows up in the literature, it's going to say 6 months for sales coordinator. It's going to say you have 60 days for qualifying sales coordinator. I said, well, if somebody comes across that after what I've told them, I'm going to say, well, company has to give you minimals, and sometimes people start very part-time and they take that long, but that's not going to happen to you. Now, that's if the person wants to be serious about their business. There are people who are going to start just to purchase the product at a discount. We're not going to have that same conversation. Okay, so I'm pre-framing for 3 months for sales coordinator, a month for qualifying sales coordinator. Now, as the month goes, if it moves quickly, fine. If something gets in the way, then, they have that extra time as well. But I want people to think condensed time, move fast. Okay, so Partner Plus is just like the first day. If we talk about and we get ready for this, and I'm going to go through and I'll say, okay, let's talk about going to Partner Plus. What do you need to do? Well, you need, and the first thing I'll write is $1,000 worth of orders. Now, if you're looking at the tri-pack, it's a little more than 3, so we'll say 4 orders there. Now, I always say to people this usually, especially if they're starting as a new distributor and or new partner and customer at the same time, I say you'll be your own first customer. So you've already got an order. And I said, you can have 2 orders right there in your household if you choose. By this time, I know the size of their family, if they're children, if there's a spouse, whatever. So they can have 2 people, right there in their household, because again, for the bonus, and we'll talk about that in a minute, you're going to need to have 2 customers. But those 2 customers can be right in your own household, and they can be on your credit card. So, it can happen in, a number of different ways. It could be 2 other people on their credit cards, whatever. And it can be any combination of products that will equal $1,000. I'll say as soon as that's completed, you now are promoted to Partner Plus. You've got a 5% permanent raise, and that is really a commission. It's 5%. And I'm going to say the Partner Plus now, once you're in that position, you market that tri-pack, excuse me, you'll make $45. So I'm going to then do the same thing for the qualifying sales coordinator. I have that QSC written out. I'll say, okay, immediately we're going to go to QSC. But before I do that, I want to really make it clear to this person that Partner Plus is something that happens, very quickly. It's like just getting the products ordered for your immediate, yourself, your family, just taking care of that right away. At this point, if that's done within a 10-day period now, there's a $100 bonus. If it takes longer than 10 days, and I'm not even going to say the 30 days, because 30 days is where I put on QSC. If it takes longer than 10 days, you still have a $50 bonus, but everybody does it within a 10-day period. So you just assume, and the word assume is something you want to write down. If you can really genuinely assume that you're going to be successful, and you assume from the beginning that that new team member will be successful, I can't tell you how much that does for your business from a mindset standpoint. They've actually proven, and it's called self-fulfilling prophecy, is what is referred to as. They talk about it in education. If a teacher has high expectations of a child, and that child is capable, he's going to perform at a much higher level. He'll really work at reaching those expectations. Even if they're not capable, they have proven through research that they will do so much better than they were capable of because the expectations were higher. So assume that people are going to be successful. Assume that they're going to do that $1,000 within the first few days, and certainly within the first 10. Assume that they are going to get that $100 bonus instead of just the 50. So I'm going to write up above this, where I've got this much written out already, but I'm going to write up above it. And remember, I'll come back here after they've seen the whole compensation plan, and then it becomes a worksheet here, okay? And so I'm going to write up over there that I'll tell them you're going to have commissions. You'll have the return from those sales, but you're also, if this is done within that 10 days, you have a $100 bonus. So I'm going to write a $100 title bonus on the top of that. Then we move over here and I say, okay, now very quickly, and it might happen for some people, it happens simultaneously within the 10 days, you're going to go to qualifying sales coordinator USC. Now this takes works in production, but guess what? This is great news. It's cumulative amount. So you've already done 1,000 for the Partner Plus. So now we just need another 3,000. If you've already got 4 orders, so now we just need another 10 if we're using the tri-pack as an example. So at this point, you now have a permanent raise. And it's important to keep pointing out, permanent. You don't ever lose your position. You can never fall backwards. You can only go forward. So now you're a qualifying sales coordinator. You have an increase. You now have a 10% return in this position of commissions. So you've got your retail profit. You've got 10% return. If you market the tri-pack as a QSC, you're going to make $60. And now let's talk about the title bonus. Most people go within the first 30 days. Some people less than 30 days. So doing it within 30 days, you're going to have a $400 bonus. If it takes longer than that, it'll be a $300 bonus. So I'll write 400 and then I'll do /300. I said, this is not what's going to happen. We're going for that $400 bonus. Again, this is a sponsor bonus as well. So you have the dual bonuses, the sponsor and the new QSC. A very important reason for you to go wide and to teach other people to go wide, because they're constantly repeating that matching bonus. So that'll be written up above where it has 14 orders. Then I talk about, let's look at you going to sales coordinator. Again, it's going to be, about 3 months, maybe sooner. I've certainly had people go faster than that. We've seen that happen, but 3 months, it might even take 4, but 3 months to sales coordinator. Here, you need to accumulate 12,000. Well, it's 10,000 now. I have to change that. We've got to go back and do that, and I apologize that we haven't gotten to it yet. Now it's 10,000. So we have to accumulate $10,000 in production, and it's going to be less now, of course, than 40 orders, so I have to change that too. But again, it's cumulative. So if you've got 4, that means you just need 6 more. And here, it's the amount of orders is going to be less. I'll have to figure that out. I guess it's somewhere about 8 less, so maybe it's 32, 33 orders. But the beauty of this is done within a 90-day period, you're going to get a $700 bonus. I think I'm right on these, okay? $700, and the sponsor will get the matching bonus. And then if it takes more than that, it'll be a $600 bonus. But we're not going to see you take any longer. We're going to do it within 30 days. Here, there's, again, a 15% return. This is a permanent raise. If you were to market Juice Plus tri-pack, you're going to make $75. It's top commission return. So I want people to focus on that, but then we're going to come back and talk about how does this happen most effectively. And it's team development and going really wide. I really encourage my new team, it's my new distributor, my new partner, that we're going to go as wide as possible, because everybody's orders count for them, but they also count for the person above them. So your orders count for you, but they also count for your sponsor to grow up in position. And so the whole idea is, how many team members can we possibly put together? And so I want to see people putting team members and customers simultaneously. But team acquisition is really the first focus as far as our business is concerned. So how does this happen? As many people as possible, you going to qualifying sales coordinator and teaching as many people as possible to go to qualifying sales coordinator within the first 30 days. And that is going to, if you can teach that in duplication, you become a qualifying sales coordinator factory. Those people are all going to move to sales coordinator, and everybody beneath them will move to sales coordinator, and everybody will move up through the pay plan. So again, it's sales coordinator is the first goal. QSC is the first step. That first step, once you've done a QSC or a qualifying sales coordinator position, and you really realize, okay, what it takes, that you can do it quickly. This is, how many people you've talked to, or what events, we can talk about all the paying activities that go along with that. But if you do that, or if you at least at this point take people that are part of your team and you help them do that quickly, then that becomes the pace of the organization. They keep saying the pace of the leader is the pace of the pack. Well, this is where it really shows up. The pack shows up in the same way that the leader does. So it's very important for me to help that new person get to QSC really fast and sales coordinator within the first 3 months. Now, what does a person make going to sales coordinator in any amount of time. If you added up the commissions, the retail profit that would come from just the sales that would have to occur for this to happen, and the title bonuses that go along with it, to go to sales coordinator would bring you somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,500 to $5,000, depending on exactly how it fell. So in a 90-day period, that's a significant amount of money. And it also puts that person in position now to really, that sales coordinator position strengthens, he's in that comma club with $1,000 in income aside from title bonuses, which of course can add to that because that can be repeated with. And so this is really the spot, okay? Sales coordinator and QSSC are where it happened. When a person gets there, then usually that's when the decision is made. Are we gonna make the number in front of that comma, really large? Because it can be anything you want it to be over time. So then people tend to set their sights a little higher and a little higher. So at this point, I'm already past time. But for anybody who wants to ask any questions or anything here, certainly as we go forward over the weeks to come, I don't want to beat you up with this information, but at the same time, I really want us to get really, really proficient in being the best there are at, just the best in the world. I'm one of those people. I don't have to be number one. I just have to be as good as number one. There can be a lot of number ones. Okay, so. We all want to really take this and integrate it to the point where it's comfortable. It feels second nature to you. It feels natural. So anybody, any questions before we go forward? Does this make sense? Does it feel right? What do you need to know? Don't be shy. There are nearly 50 of you on here. I know somebody's got to have a thought. Okay, anybody?
Hi, it's Patricia. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Hi.
Hi, thank you. I'm looking at the sales coordinator position, and that's $75. Is that 15% commission and 10% sales profit, or how does that work?
Okay, what that is a combination of the 10% retail sales profit and 15% of the $300. So if you look at $30 let's go through each one of them. 5% of the 300 would be what? If we're 5% of 300.
Yes, $15.
So if you see the $45, that's $30 plus the 15, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I got it.
So this one's now $30 added to the 30 for the 60. And now it's $45, I think, added to the 30 for the 75, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. That's right.
Okay, good. So that's how those numbers add up. And $75 would be the total retail profit on the tri-pack. Now, if it were different products, it might be a different number, of course. But again, I use that as an example because it's the majority of our sales. But if we all do the same work, we all have the same paying activity. That's tell the story together in events, share the story about the product and the business, and offer people the option of either or both. So if you're doing the same thing, let's get you to the highest return as soon as possible. And that's the conversation that I'm having with a person when we first start. We're getting you to the highest possible return for your effort, and we're creating a business model that puts you in position to always be able to tell the story of moving at a healthy pace and having a strong start, because that strong start is going to be an important story your whole career. And so if I'm sitting with someone who's serious and wants a true business outcome with the best advice I can possibly give them from the years of experience, it's going to be that we're going to put an all-out effort. And that's one thing that I feel very strongly about. And I make myself totally available to that new person. If they're doing the activity, and the only activity they have to do is put me in front of people to tell product and business story, especially business story. You can't tell the business story without telling the product story. So the goal is, you know, that's where my time's going to go. But I'm also, if the person's doing that, I'm totally available to them, because it takes both sides. And if it's done effectively, you know, with that person bringing people consistently during that time, then we're going to have the outcome, you know, that we need. Anybody else? Patricia, is that good for you?
Yeah, that's good. So if a person had 40 orders, over 40 orders of the trio, and you're at the sales coordinator position.
Yeah, actually, that's been reduced because now they did an adjustment where it's just 10,000. So it's somewhere around 33 orders, using the tri-pack as an example. But
Oh, okay.
they will also need at least 3 teammates who are growing up. They don't need to be sales coordinators with them, but I think it's 2 QSCs and 1 partner plus. So it won't be all their orders by themselves. It'll be they and the team, which makes it a lot easier and a lot faster too. That's why a team from the very beginning is very important. Structure is very important, because again, and you heard it tonight from people too, no one really does this alone, nor can they carry it alone, because in acquiring team, we can reach so many more people so much more quickly. So that's why they're going to say you're going to need, you know, at least 1 team member when you become a QSC. You need at least 1 person who's teamed up with you, but you need at least 3. And again, those are minimals. Nobody wants a minimal business. They don't want minimal income. So it's why I really encourage people and teach, you know, that we want to, and I'll just go through these real quickly until I can bring my little faces up here. Okay, if you're looking at putting a team together, you know, really going to encourage you might just need 1 team member to go to QSC, and 3, you know, who are growing up as well to go into sales coordinator. But you really want so many more than that, and you're not limited. That's the thing about this pay plan, is it has an endless, you know, it's you can go front line into infinity. It can have an infinity front line. You want to have as many people as possible, because they're gonna give you leverage of more orders, more customers, and more strength as you grow up through this compensation plan. So helping someone understand that from the very beginning is very important, and not just sticking to those minimals, because the company has to give you minimals for, you know, development, but you want to surpass those minimals always. And there's a lot of psychology that goes along with it, that if you can bring the width together, the energy of the team is going to be so much more productive. It's going to move so much faster, because everybody's orders add to everybody's orders. Okay. Anybody else right quick? I know we're going a little past time here, but again, I think we're in a golden time right now. Everybody's awake to the fact that they want to take care of their bodies. They want to do the best they can. They want to have a strong, healthy body that has a strong immune system. And we show up at the perfect time with this. And we also show up with the perfect business model, because everybody's at home, working from home. We've been training for this for 30 years myself. Okay, so you know, it's a golden time. So that's why I think this is such an important aspect of our business, is getting really comfortable with it. Don't let these positions and structure and numbers threaten you in any way. Really realize the power of what they can be for you. Okay. Anybody else? It won't be the last time you hear it.
Hey, Cheryl, this is Candace Corson. I love your teaching. I wanted to ask you if you could share just the simple, confident verbiage that you teach your people to bring you to them. You know, you say, you bring the people, I'll bring the presentation. I just love that. And we know that's what works. And I'd love if you could just share, you know, just simple verbiage that you recommend, you know, instead of saying, oh, would you get on a call with my upline, you know, what the confident verbiage that you share that works.
And again, it's gonna, there are 2 or 3 or 4 things, and it's usually kind of tailored to the individual. But I was gonna see if I had it on my desk. is not quite as neat as Cindy Dauper's. Okay. She's
My
wonderful.
desk is my front porch, so that's all right. It's working for me.
Okay, I taught kindergarten, everyone. So I have what I call my kindergarten worksheets, and there are 3 of them. And when I'm starting with a new person, before I, let them loose into the world, you might say, to go and bring me somebody. Okay, you bring the people, I'll bring the presentation. We talk about how that's going to happen. And I think it's important to have that conversation. Most people are really worried for some reason. It's like, I don't know exactly where this comes from. Maybe it's the connotation people have in their head about this profession, or maybe they've had experiences that weren't very good with other companies. But they don't want somebody to come along and damage the relationships they have by being pushy, you might say, as far as their what they have to offer. So first thing I need to do is make that new team member really comfortable. And this might be a whole training in itself, so maybe we'll talk about and continue to talk about this next time, but I'll just give you a few highlights here. We're going to first, and I can talk about that next time, we might use it as the next training. The first homework sheet is we're going to capture their feeling about their story and help them locate their story. Because in talking to someone, you're going to have something you need to say, okay, about why you were attracted. But it's the feeling. It's not the information of the product. It's not the research, not any of those things. It's the feeling. So I help people capture the feeling of what it was that has brought them to this point, that they want to have the product for themselves, their family, and why they want to pursue this business. Then we're going to discuss at least 15 people that they really like, love, and admire, because people who admire each other think alike. So if I can really have them identify at least 15, then that they really like and admire and would love to get up every day and work with, then I know I can get 3 or 4 team members, maybe 5, because people who think alike usually respond to this very well if my new person has already identified the feeling that he's going to share. And then I have what I call a profile sheet. And on that profile sheet, it's going to give me a little background about each one of those people. We'll make up 15 sheets. And we're going to talk about how they're going to talk to them about it. Now, I just started with a new team member that I've been working very closely with now for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And we've really talked about how each person, so it might be a little different. It might be somebody that he says, he tells them their story. He talks to them about it. He shares the fact that he's really just learning it. For me, when I started, I called people that I knew and admired, and I said, I've come across something and it makes sense. I think there's going to be serious money made here. I really feel like it's something that can be good for people. I love the idea of the product. Why don't we look at this together? I would really like to have the person who shared it with me tell you about it, but I'd like to listen to, and let's see if it's something we want to do together. So it's not come listen to let them convince you. It's less, and again, that word together is one that I think is very empowering. But it also, let's look at it and we'll make this decision together. I feel, or we'll see how we feel about it. And if it fits you, great. And if it doesn't, I'm going to still love you anyway. Okay. So it's bringing that feeling of investigation. Let's investigate together. And we talk about how we're going to do it. Now, the last question on my profile sheet is I always ask when we're talking about the people that we're going to, hopefully he will be having me talk to, or she will be having me talk to, either. I want to know what they really admire about that person. And that's why I have that question there. And then I'm going to tell my new distributor, my new partner, that the first thing I'm going to say is, Daniel really admires you. I don't know if he's ever shared this with you or not, but he really admires you because, and it's got to be that authentic statement that he told me about his friend. And so, and then I'll say, I have no idea if this is for you or not, but Daniel and I really like the idea of doing this together, and we're going to be really successful at it. And so, you know, I'm going to share with you my own story, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what we have. And then if you want more information, we'll be glad to give it to you. But I make sure that Daniel, my distributor, knows what I'm going to say before he goes out to invite the person, because I want to make him comfortable too with what the interaction is going to be like. Because when people are comfortable with what they know is going to happen, and the other thing is that when people are brought to me, especially today, it's almost always on Zoom because we're virtual. I'll say, well, how did you get here? You know, because when he says, well, what am I going to say to people? I said, well, what did he say to you? Or what did she say to you? You're here. And so then we talk about why he showed up for the call. And by talking about why he showed up for the call, it also gives him a vision of what he can say to someone else. Does that make sense, Candace? Good. So next week, we'll go over that in depth. We'll talk about how to invite. Okay?
Cheryl, that's fantastic. Thank you. So I wanted people to hear it from your words, because my team, you know, they do love me and we all love each other, but they get tired of hearing from their mom. So I just wanted them to hear from you, and I love how you teach that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Because we're a bit over time, but you all seem to have patience here. So anybody else? Well, next week then we will go thoroughly over, you know, how to launch, how to invite people. So how to invite people to a call, and you know, really talk about, we know where we want them to go. Let's talk about how we round them up to get them to hear about it. Because, you know, we've heard this forever, is experts always come from somewhere else. Prophets are in their own town. They come from another town. Okay, so they always come from somewhere else. So that's why the three-way call or the three-way Zoom is so powerful. Is there's someone coming behind you, usually with years of experience, or at least more experience, because they've been here a little longer, even if it's just 30 minutes longer, but they've been here a little longer. It doesn't have to be 33 years longer. And but they come really to validate what you're saying. That's what the three-way call is about. And to answer questions, three-way call or three-way Zoom is a very, very powerful tool, because my new person gets to listen to exactly what's said. And what they'll hear is that it may have little variations depending on the person I'm talking to. You know, if I'm talking to someone going into retirement, it might be a little bit of a different conversation than if I'm talking to a young mom with little kids all around, you know. So, but they'll see that, but they'll see that the basics are always the same. And so that lays the foundation for duplication as you teach the new person by helping him get those team members. He'll be also learning how to do it for his own. Okay? Okay, everybody, I think we've had enough. Okay, I've bent your brains long enough. And so we'll look at getting together next Thursday, and we're going to talk about how to invite to a three-way call or a three-way Zoom. Okay?
Thank you, Cheryl. And thank you, Carol, for hosting this call. I just appreciate you so much, both of you.
We all appreciate Cheryl. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Have a happy weekend, everybody. And thank you for our speakers tonight. We really appreciate you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Let's see how to finish this. Here we go.